Day. Happy solstice, what is it called? Post-solstice day. So beautiful. Everything that we celebrate that's cosmic has at least a 3-day power thing, right, over the peak, and often much longer. So magical day yesterday. I hope that you enjoyed and celebrated the solstice in some way. Super fun, super magical. I had a truly stellar, out of this world, just fun, flowing, beautiful day, from going to the pyramids and talking to the spirits, the nature spirits and the fairies, to sharing that all with you last night in the Solstice Fairy Festival. So if you didn't get a chance, or if you did and you want to repeat it, I'm getting just all kinds of wonderful feedback from last night and the Solstice Festival of Fairies. You can do anytime. It doesn't have to be on the solstice. So we received this beautiful download. The fairies surrounded us. We created a circle in the forest. There was so many magical fairy realms that joined us, like almost like the United Nations of fairy realm, like all around us. And then as we held hands in this circle, even almost as if we were here in person, we were in this etheric light temple that you go to with me. And the fairy realms started to pour all of their energies through our heart centers, through our backs, and literally out of our hearts and into the middle of the circle. And what happened is they asked us to enter the middle of the circle. So in the ceremony, you will end up being both one of the circle. You are one. And you're receiving this download and the support from these realms all the time. And they're pouring it through you, and then you get to be the one to pour it into you, standing in the middle as your singularity, as you, me as Akasha, and then me as all with one, and feeding myself and being a part of that. And that's what this is about. Messages come all the time. The messengers vary. So we're looking at all these different types of messengers, but the longer I do this, every day we do this, the more I'm like, but there's this, and there's this, and there's this, and there's that. And today I was like, oh my gosh, I have so much to share with you around ascended masters, from like who they are, or how to work with them, or stories and experiences of epic magicness, and just go on and on. And then it was like calm came over me this morning and said, listen, it's all right. That's why you're doing the summer camp. Okay, so what's beautiful is that we are, I'm trying to change my network here. It seems to be having a problem. I am jacked in, should keep us connected. So what we're doing is, I'm going to light some copal. This is one of my favorite messengers, or medicine. So the medicine, we did a whole show on what is medicine energetically. What does it mean? Again, so much more to look at, but just realize everything is divine energy, and it's vibrating at a certain rate, and it can heal you or it can harm you. It can kill you. It could resurrect you. And it depends on when, where, who, how, and everything else. So everything around you is potentially an ally for your healing, your prosperity, your guidance, and everything around you is potentially something that could hinder you, interrupt your path. Okay? So what you want to do is to have a continuous experience going on all day, all night, with these other realms, because you're in this biosphere of the Earth Star, and we are Earth Star. Ooh, we put out our candle. We are Earth Star beings. So this copal is a sacred Mayan incense. It's from a sap of a tree here, and it's going to be, as you are settling into the temple today, welcome. We've already called in the ascended masters. We've called in the gods and goddesses. I've called in all of my councils, and I've been to the beach and pet my kitty cats, and been doing magic for hours this morning, so that we have this beautiful space and you're entering into it the same way that I would if you were coming to my retreat next week. So we had 2 people sign up for the December retreat this morning. Welcome, welcome, yay! And I want to let you know that if you feel like coming next week, we start on the 29th, so it's at least a week away, and we start on the 30th, I'm sorry. You can come on the 29th. We start on the but you want to arrive on the 30th. If that's something that you want to do, I've had people just in March just show up 2 days before, make all their plans, and I'm working with somebody right now on that. In fact, I'm working with 2 people on that to see if they can find their way here. So the reason to do that is if you're called to leave your ordinary world, to feel the soul call to not just adventure, but to leaving your ordinary world so you can run into the magical mentors that are out there. The hero's journey is what we're on. We're on our journey. Our soul came. We supplied ourselves with everything we need, but we came to go through the cycles. We came to go through the trials. We are Hercules. We are Perseus. We are all of these different epic heroes from our mythology that represent us, right? They represent us, and they represent our ability to do the same thing. You can rise through the trials and the tasks. You can fight the demons that are deep within you, telling you you're not good enough or you can't, or not letting you out of an eating disorder, or keeping you in a relationship, or making you afraid to speak up. Whatever it's been, I've probably been there. One of my clients has been there. This is what we're breaking down. It's no longer about, oh, do I have this problem and I have to find all my problems. That's like old news now. You're going to run into wounds and problems and limits. You're going to find them living in all parts of your light body, mind, behaviors, mental pathways that you formed, habits, right, in the electrical system, in the brain, and then in the mind, because the mind is not the brain, okay? And then in the chakras, and so on and so on and so on. You have connection to your other lives, and we're going to do that up here soon. I don't know what day that is, but we're going to come and we're going to work with our other lives. We're going to look at how our other lives in our soul, we could call them past lives, call them future lives. They all exist already. And your potential future lives exist in waves of potential that as you shift and change, as you, like if you came to the fairy festival yesterday, and you were like this beautiful client of mine this morning in England who was like, I wanted to get up early and watch it before I went to work. And so she did. And she said the whole time she was riding her bike to work, it was like, she said it was the best way to wake up. It was the best start of any day. Doing this work and playing with the fairies and receiving the love. And they gave us fairy wings, and they started to reconnect us to some of our magic powers, lives in which we were connected to the fairy realm or to the nature spirits in some way that's beneficial now in our lives, for us, for our mission, for our purpose, for the world. All right, so everybody's had different experiences, and you can connect to these other lives you had, and you can say, hey, you were this and that, you were, a goddess, ritual, I forget what you call it, like, you ran these goddess circles, you did healing work, you knew sacred geometry, you talked to angels, you were this, you were that. It doesn't even have to be a spiritual aspect, but that's really what I focus on, because the higher aspects of who we are, the spiritual aspects of who we are, our attributes, our affinities, our calls from our soul, we have to get past the calls from our ego. And when we're younger, we're consumed with like, ooh, let's all be hot and sexy and go out and dance all night. And then we're consumed with like doing the right thing and getting the right job and figuring out the goals and all of the pathways that have been set up in our societies and our culture. And we don't even want to get into talking about, oh, that was bad or good, or they should have done that, or they shouldn't have done that. It just is, it just was, and that's the end. We are leaving that story. It's breaking down around us and within us very, very quickly. So the best thing you can do is develop your intuition, understand your multidimensional nature bit by bit, and every day walk in the magic that's here. So I talk to everything. I walk around and heart to heart connect with everything in the morning. I have, I got to go get them. I have some new crystals I got yesterday on the solstice. It was so fun. I went to my little crystal store after I was at the pyramids playing with the fairies stories and the nature spirits. And I was like, well, I wanted to get some certain things for my retreat next week. And I was there to see what the magic was. I'll show you one thing I got. It was really fun. He gave it to me as a gift, actually, because of the other things that I bought. And he's just a lovely, lovely man who owns the store, and he travels around and he just looks for what intuitively calls him. So when I go, it's like going to a magic store where you're like looking for what's in this box, because he doesn't have enough room. So you kind of look through and like, oh my gosh, I found this treasure. And he got these bags, these beautiful soft bags for your crystals or your cards or whatever. And so I got this one with the dolphins. Look at the beautiful dolphins. And there we've got our ascended master Buddha, sacred geometry, all kinds of other beautiful symbolism. We've got our snakes, so there's massive transformation. Of course, one of my favorite guides. Over here, we've got some nature spirits and some cosmic spirits. So it's just a lot of fun going on. So the reason why I have so much to teach, I have so much to share, and what I was taught a long time ago was to listen to my clients and say, what is it they really want? What are they saying? What's the subtext? Not what they think they want, but what's really going on? What would benefit them the most? And then that is what I would teach. That is what I would offer. And it's very good compared to, oh, I want to do this and making it up from my head, which I can do. I can create 1 million products in a day. It's just not a problem. It's just part of it. But I decided long ago, I didn't want to do that. I wanted to be totally aligned with spirit. So the longer I live, the more I live day to day in whatever I'm going through. I go through deep downs and big ups and huge this and big that. I don't have a perfect life where I'm, dancing with the fairies every day, all day long. And I have the life that I'm living, and I love the life that I'm living. And I've unhooked from the opinion of others, and I've gone through deep losses and all these identity things, building businesses and then having them close, and, having a daughter and having her die, and going through a divorce after 25 years and losing 80 properties, and just on, right? So I've lived life full out, and I can tell you right now, I don't regret any of it. I do not want to repeat some of the pain, and yet what did the pain do? It was what led me on the path to leave my ordinary world. Because everything I was taught, work hard, suffer, do this, do that, blah, blah, blah. I did it all, built this big business, making a lot of money, and then boom, gone. And I didn't understand that could happen. I was 29, 30. And so when you have whatever has happened to you, and I know it has, I know that it's happened over and over and over. And whenever you have that happening, it is leading you there, right? It's leading you there. It's taking you. It is your soul calling you, and your soul calling you forward because you're always guided. And here's the thing. We've become so separated not to feel guilty, not to feel bad, not to get upset. Get out of those energies. They will never help you. They will only help you if you're down in shame and guilt and blame, and then you get angry. Well, that's higher, but just use it as a stepping stone. Damn, I'm not doing this anymore. Boing, and then try to get up to a higher state. But going into any of those reactions is an utter and complete waste of time. Woo, okay. So the Ascended Masters, the gods and goddess energies are really strong right now, and they're starting to line up behind me, hold my back, hold my spine. So be aware that you're in the sacred temple and that these beings are gathering here. So when you are ready to really grasp that you are divinely designed exactly the way you're supposed to be, it's time to let go of the whole game and the paradigm and playing in the story of, oh, I need to look like that, and I need to make this much money, and I need this kind of house, and I need all this stuff. You can have it, but if you're needing it, then you're attached to it, and then you're down in craving and desperation, then you're in disappointment, then you're in enslavement, then you're stuck. So I want this, but I don't want to leave that. We all have it. At some point, it's the trapeze. You have to let go and fly into the unknown. And now more than ever, and we're all moving faster than ever before. Okay? So now is the time for us to discover our soul, our blueprint, our truth, who we were designed to be, not who we were told we were, or what we could be, or what we couldn't be, or what everybody else wanted us to be. And believe me, so many of those things are ingrained so deeply in you, you truly believe in this moment that you want them. As soon as you start waking up, though, it changes. It goes from, oh, it would be so nice to meditate more often. I'll meditate now and then. Oh, now I'll meditate once a week or on the weekends. Now I'll start meditating a little bit more often. Replace meditating with whatever you want. Whatever, a light body activation, healing process, spiritual process, yoga, chanting, whatever you do that aligns your energy body, acknowledge your multidimensional being, connects with your etheric, your aura, your mental, emotional, spiritual, financial, all these levels of your being. You can communicate with them. You're the center of the being. You put out the command. I am a clear and open channel to my highest good and what is optimal for me at this time. Boom. You put that in a breath. Pooh, you put it out. You are a God. You create, but you were told you weren't a God. So it's just the process you're in. It's what the ascended masters did. So we're in the ascension process. And ascension, that word used to just not relate to it at all. Didn't want to think about it, never used it. It sounded religious. It sounded Christian. I didn't want anything to do with it. Over time, I've learned that the meaning I give a word. Now, if you're in a conversation with other people and everybody else kind of thinks it means this and you think it means that, then you do have to be aware of their other meaning. Yet what you really want to do is be aware of what the meaning is for you. So the ascended masters begin to come in my life, and they began to show up through the mystery schools that I was in. And I started to work with Thoth and this Egyptian, and he was a human in Atlantis, and he was fascinated with the temples of Atlantis, the very high ones on the peaks where the spiritual, what we would call probably gods, the highest powers that were coming down to help build civilization on the planet. And he spent time like a kid and like climbing and like watching and like asking and then going boldly into, I want to see this, and being given the ability to go travel dimensions and see dimensions you can get trapped in and see worlds where, there's these incredible beings that, this one woman he saw that she's like an embodiment of a planet or a galaxy, and she holds a particular energy. And he started to learn the gates and the magic words. What are the magic words? The magic words are simply that you have to be aware that you are the creator, that your words come from you as a command. You are the God. You are the goddess. And as an ascended master, what happens is we are becoming ascended masters. We are ascended masters in training. We're on this planet right now because shit's going down. Everything that we thought was true is breaking down so we can see through the veil to the next thing. Do not lose hope. This is all good. It is beautiful. We are here at the right time. You are in the right place at the right time, and you're waking up. So the God within you, the goddess within you, has to listen to the call. So if you feel called, it was interesting, this beautiful woman came to the March retreat. And a dear friend of mine, a dear client who's become a dear friend, is, my hair's been bugging me right here. Thank you. And she told her about me and about the retreat. And she was my friend, the client I knew, is planning to come at some point, and she's working on it. So the other lady called me, we chatted, we talked. I look into her energy field, I read whether it's optimal, and I know that probably sounds like a sales call to people. And she was like, oh, you probably tell that to everybody. And I laughed. I said, no, I don't. I do not want people coming to my retreats who are not aligned, who are not ready. I don't want people bringing a spouse just because it's convenient. It's like you can bring the spouse, but the spouse can't be in the cocoon of the retreat, because this is a sacred journey that we take, So we talked, and I told her, well, yeah, I can see in your field that this is an optimal next step for you, and this is the guidance I'm receiving, and basically gave her the intuitive feedback. And she went off, and I didn't hear from her. And that was a month or 6 weeks or something like that before the retreat. Literally 2 or 3 days before the retreat, she contacted me and said, I think I'm supposed to come. And we got on the phone, and we just, gave her the details. She booked her planes. Boom, boom, boom. She was here. And she went home and told my other client and everybody, it was like the best thing she ever did. She knew she was meant to be here. She was so happy she listened to it. But it was that typical inner voice that says, no, not now. Oh, be practical. Wait till you get a new job. Wait till this happens. This person won't like it, whatever it is. And I'm not saying that everybody is meant to come, okay? You're not. I am saying that if you hear guidance, I'm using this as an example of something that your heart or your soul is calling you towards. You've got to listen to it now because you're a goddess. You are a creator. You have to start to embody the creator, but not an egotistical, desperate, emotionally overwhelmed one, which is why you have to get out of your ordinary world. You have to get away from all of that energy in order to hear your own heart. And this one is all about heart healing. We're going to do 2 cacao ceremonies with 2 different ceremony people in a sacred cave water thing and in a sacred temple with ears and eyes in the jungle built on the chakras. And we're going to have cacao. And this is a sacred spirit. So watch my cacao show on it. Opens and heals your heart. We're going to be healing all those things and bathing in love. And the dolphins have showed me that's what they're doing. They're casting a net. I would call it love. They call it a crystal net. And around us already. So if you feel in any way called to something, there is a way for it to happen, which is why if you start to pay attention to the messengers that are in your life and you start to just experiment with asking the dolphins and seeing what kind of guidance they give you. So the dolphins have come to me and like gotten urgent with me because one of the people was telling the dolphins, if I'm meant to be there, help me, show me the way. And then I suddenly start getting all this stuff and that person contacts me and I'm like, oh, I'm getting all these messages. They're really urgent for you. And so they were like, yeah, I want to know what they are. So the dolphins, the land, the waters, the ancient spirits, the key codes in your soul, the just leaving your own environment. I don't know all the reasons in your soul why you would be called to this or any other retreat. However, believe me, they are number 1 on my list of transformational experiences that you can have, which is why I love them. They're a ton of work. To be told, they don't make a lot of money in terms of like a capacity thing. And at the same time, they're so profoundly transformative for everyone and for me that I will not stop. I have to do it. Now, they're going to change next year. There's some interesting new things coming along. So if you want to come to a very intimate retreat, come now, come in December. And if you're interested in a private retreat, if you want me to put together something for you as a couple, for you as a small group or a family, I do that as well. And I've been designing some of those in the past, but I design it here, anywhere in the Yucatan, anywhere in Quintana Roo, using whatever your passions are. I can put together the ceremonies, the locations, whatever matches what it is that you're doing and your group wants. So now, I loved that there was so much force on my back that the gods and goddesses were coming through and they were pushing and pushing and pushing and they're saying, you've given your power away to us for so long. You've given your power away to those that have descended with knowledge or wisdom, those that have descended that enslaved you or manipulated you, and those that have been a part of the designing. You know, in any kind of design, you design the first model and then the next model and then you test it and then you say, okay, now we need to alter it. And I used to be a fashion designer, so I know that you start with, oh, this sketch, this sketch, this sketch, and you keep sketching it out and then you make a sample and then you look at it and then you tweak it and then you change it and pretty soon you end up with the final. It's the same thing with us. We didn't just pop out. We weren't just pooped out by some person sitting in a cloud, okay? There's been an evolution of how can we create something that we can get inside of and experience things in a completely different way than being this infinite being. So what the gods and goddesses bring us is the idea to remember that we are from the same energy they are, and that they have been here in different forms, the names we've given them in that way, because they are beyond the ascended masters. They've reached God consciousness. They've reached source consciousness. They can go into the infinite and they can come into form. They don't have to incarnate to move through cycles because they're still holding on to what their ex did to them, or they're still not feeling good enough because their parents didn't love them, or whatever. They move past all of that. They keep climbing the mountain. If you read the Emerald Tablets by Thoth, it's one of the most magical books of instruction, and it's beautiful stories and lots of codes, and you start to read it and it starts to speak to you through the words. You may not understand the words in a logical sense, but they start to, he used to have me sleep with it underneath my pillow. I've read it, I don't even know how many times. I started to translate it, but differently, like with him. And Thoth came into my life through my first mystery school, the Melchizedek method, with Alton Kamadan. And I went through the Melchizedek method, all 5 levels, went to Egypt for 3.5 weeks with them. We had 2 days in the Great Pyramid, only our group, meditating, chanting, doing high level sacred geometry work, light body work. He's Hermes of the laws of the universe. He's Thoth from Egypt, and he has come over and over in different incarnations because he knows how to work with the flower of life, the flower of fire, and all of that in the earth to rejuvenate. So he kept his one body for a very long time. He came from Atlantis. He rose up. He learned everything he could. So he's considered a god, but he's actually an ascended master. But he's reached now God consciousness because it's what ascended masters do more than gods is they live at the levels of our etheric and our physical etheric to continue to help us. They reach a level that says, I don't need to be incarnated anymore. I've broken that karmic wheel if you want to be. Like they're not attached to anything. Doesn't matter what's happening to them. They could be being tortured, their body, and they're going to rise up in their consciousness to a state that they choose while they still walk through what's happening. This is what you're going to become. So if you're an ascended master in training and you read the Emerald Tablets, for example, you can read the things he says he believed or he thought or he saw or he asked from his teachers. You know, this is kind of an autobiography in a way, but it's full of guidance and keys and codes that will go into you that you won't understand with the brain. And that's like I go to temples, I go into nature because there's codes in the sun's rays. There's codes in the leaf. You don't make a tea out of mint or chamomile or something and drink it for a health reason because there's nothing in it, right? So what happens when you study with this is the Melchizedek method was channeled from Melchizedek and Metatron, who are both ascended masters as well. It depends. Some people categorize them differently. And through Thoth to Alton, and he was the person in the body. Okay, so this is how ascended masters, gods, goddesses work with us. They're holding space for the planet. They're holding space. Saint Germain, you might be familiar with Saint Germain. He's not a saint, or he's nothing to do with Catholic Church. He was a count in France. I don't know, 1700, 16, I can't remember exactly. And he could perform magic and alchemy. He understood sacred geometry. He knew all of the things that were taught by Thoth and by Hermes, and the caduceus, everything, all of science and medicine and writing all came here. So he could perform things. He would make elixirs. He would make potions for his friends. And they just were delighted. Everybody loved him. And so he would come in and he could help you if you need to create some alchemy in your life. If you need to, what is alchemy? It's taking something and turning it into something else. And this is what's happening to you and I. We are alchemizing. We're going from, maybe you can think about, we're going from carbon-based to crystal-based. And we are physically having a lot of ascension sickness and a lot of changes and a lot of illness on the planet because at higher frequencies of our soul, of our consciousness, we cannot live in these polluted bodies. So it's going to shift very, very intensely over the next 2, 3, 4 years. Okay. So the sooner that you start to realize that Thoth is here with a wealth of knowledge through history, there's books for you to read, Melchizedek too. There's things, if you tune in, you will start to notice how these messengers are reaching you. I have one client who I just love because she's so interested in these deeper mysteries like I am. I don't tell my clients they have to go read all these ancient books the way I did. I'm the channel for distilling all the information I learned in my mystery schools, I learned in my other lives. I learned from, things like 4 hours, 2 days in a row in the king's chamber, chanting, and literally the whole pyramid starts to vibrate. It opens up, you go to other dimensions. There's no description for what happens, but at one point, the first day, they're playing Om. Alton is guiding us. We're all sitting packed into the king's chamber. I'm sitting against the wall, which is like an obsidian or some kind of deep, like this, black stone. It starts to vibrate. There's someone on the other end playing a didgeridoo into the corner. It's vibrating through the walls. The whole chamber and the whole pyramid is designed to concentrate energy, to work with different frequencies the way that it's built with the different shafts and chambers, to raise your consciousness, to connect you through a shaft to Sirius or to Orion, these are stargates. There's a lot going on here. And when you have these experiences, they're so profound and out of your body that you rise to these levels, you go to these other places, you realize that these things are very real, but when you come back, they're hard to put to words, they're hard to make practical. So teachers like Thoth and other teachers like Melchizedek wanting to pass information on down through Alton, and then from Alton and these other people through me, and whoever it is that is distilling information and bringing it in, is because the mysteries are no longer for a select few. Now, we all know many people who should not think they're gods any more than they already do. However, we have this incredible opportunity to examine and play with realms and beings who we have never been able to before. Okay, let me see. Everything's going okay. Whoa, isn't that a fun bag? You believe you worked with Thoth, Sherry? Yeah, the Emerald Tablets. I don't know. It's just, I have a lot of magical books, a lot of ancient scriptures, a lot of all kinds of stuff I studied for decades. And yet it's just one of those things where, wow, I can tell you, it's beyond belief when you find the right teacher at the right time, the resonance of their message, and their messages come on all different frequencies. So you can go back to a book or back to a teacher or back to a teaching or a philosophy that you learned from, and you might find more, you might find different, you might find new things coming through now, the same information. You go, wow, I didn't read that. I didn't remember seeing that. All right. So, okay. So remember to join the summer school. The Intuition Awakening Summer School is so much fun and so powerful. And it's about that nonstop spiritual guidance that we're talking about now. It's about getting these messages, noticing them more, finding the messengers that are optimal for you, and receiving the medicine you need for whatever you are doing in every day. And that medicine might mean that you do need to rest today and you don't want to, and you go through a grumpy phase, but if you let go and you accept, you could call on Quan Yin and she could help you accept it. She could take the pain from you. You could call on the different ascended masters or the gods and goddesses and or nature spirits or fairies or any of the different things that we're trying to touch on. And that's what we're going to go to in the class. We're going to go through not all, but a lot of these different realms and go deeper on activating and awakening your intuitive pathways so that you can accelerate your connection to the messengers that are here for you in each moment, and the medicine, the guidance, the healing, the direction, the energies, the parts of you that they want to convey through their messages. Okay. Well, today we're on day 5 and we have 2 more days after this, and we're going to do elementals and magical realms tomorrow. That's gnomes and sylphs and salamanders that contain the fire and earth and water elements and all these different magical realms. And we're going to specifically work with them, not just to get messages. We received the most beautiful messages from the fairies yesterday, and then we got this incredible healing. And then they made us aware of the idea of having fairy wings, which come with information. That means that doesn't mean you're a fairy. It means that you've worked with these fairies in some other lives that are relevant now, and they want you to remember that. And everybody's looked different. It was wonderful. You should listen. There's just magic coming through it. And today we're going to get some messages from ascended masters and gods and goddesses. And tomorrow we're going to do intuitive co-creation. So whatever word you want to use, I'm more comfortable with the word psychic these days because more people are understanding that you are waking up. You have all these senses and abilities to work with. Now, when you join the Intuition Awakening Summer Camp, you get the Awaken Your 360 Senses mini course. So it's an essential course. It helps you tune into your senses. It helps you awaken them, activate them. There's like processes you can just listen to daily. You don't have to go through the whole little course. So there's a learning and there's an activation. And this is one of those vital, essential, basic skills that you have to do as you open your intuitive skills. Now, you're going to break open, you're going to start waking up, you're going to start having encounters, and the sooner that you take it consciously into your hands and you develop it, the easier it's going to be to handle it. You don't have to blow yourself out with a seizure or a Kundalini awakening or a breakdown or an illness. And yet those things are still going to happen because we are not equipped yet to handle these high frequencies, and yet they're coming to us. So thank goodness for the gods, goddesses, for the ascended masters especially, right? Because the ascended masters are so close to us. They understand us. There's a compassionate air to the connection when you work with an ascended master, because they've almost all had not all, but many of them have had very challenging lives. And through those challenging lives, they had to stretch, they had to reach, they had to go through their demons, go through their death, their resurrection of their soul, whatever that is. Every hero, every heroine in every story goes through the dark realms, goes through into their subconscious, loses the woman, fights for it, gives up, comes back, wants to be again, and then returns back to the ordinary world, but at a new level, with new skills, new wisdom, the experience, the connections to the magical realms and the mentors. Like I'm one of your magical mentors. You found this, and so you're hearing this information through me. And that was part of your calling. And then something else, maybe one of these gods and goddesses or dolphins or fairies or whatever, is going to open you up and become a very primary guide. You don't need a million of them. This is to give you a sample, a tasting, and then we're going to go deeper in the course into these different and more than what's here. I couldn't give it all to you in this series, but this is to just go, look at this one. Do you feel this one? Is this ringing a bell? What's waking up within you? So we're providing these little soul triggers, okay? So we're going to co-create intuitively with the elementals and the magical realms tomorrow. So you might think about what you might want to create, but I always like to leave it up to my soul, my higher self, to guide me to what's optimal. And then finally, we're going to do one of my favorites, which is what I was talking about earlier. Our other lives, our past lives, hold so much power. And this is one of my primary experiences. When I learned hypnosis, I started to do it with clients. People were going to past lives without me doing anything about it. It was not like, let's go to a past life. In fact, I still rarely ever do that with intention. I create the space to be optimal for you and your highest good. And my students and my clients always say, well, things happen inside of the space with you that just I can't believe. I've even been on podcasts with other master meditators who were like, what did you do? How did you do that? And that's because I've studied so many of these. I've worked with so many of these other spirits and messengers and realms for so long. And you've had spiritual mentors through time, and you've had your own self through time. So what's really cool is that as we're exploring the messengers, that you're going to resonate with certain ones. You might work with them really intensely for a long long time, and then they may drop into the background, and then they may come forward again later. And that's the fun, is not to be desperate, but to be ready and willing. The right teacher shows up. So they bring us divine, cosmic, and interdimensional soul medicine. Both of these beings, categories, I guess let's call it today, that we're exploring. The infinite, okay, the infinite field, or the field, the scientists call it, the source, the void, everything, okay, it's created so many forms of life. We are a part of it. We were a part of that. It was like the self becoming aware of the self, the infinite field saying, oh, okay, I wonder what it would be like if we did this, and we did that, and starting to push out and create form and create 2D and 3D from 1D. 1D is just everything. And we always think, oh, that's better. Well, it's lovely, but it's nothing. It's just beingness. And we are here getting this incredible opportunity to be gods playing inside of a body in a world that's developed to this level where we can do a lot of amazing stuff. And you look at it, even just understanding how the physical body of a human or a cat works, it's a masterpiece. It's unbelievable, but it doesn't do anything if it's not injected with energy from a soul, with an intent, with a plan, with a blueprint. We are descended gods. I love the Maya, the ancient Maya, the teachings of the light that and the pyramids that were built to represent the 9 waves of consciousness back to the temple of the descending God, showing this is where we did. We descended down through the layers of frequency taught by Thoth and these other beings into form, and then form had to evolve, and there was all of this experience layer after layer, and time got shorter and shorter and shorter and shorter until here we are at the smallest time platform, unity at the top. So we know that we've gone through these eons of growth. There are many beings who've lived on lives on this planet, I mean literally eons, who have ascended, all right? And we think of beings like in human form, and that's generally what we talk about because we're humans, we're expressing as humans, but there's ascended masters in the dolphin realm that I work with. Shadia is a dolphin that I worked with and kissed and did healing work, and she was healing on paraplegics and I was doing my light body work, and we were healing on each other, and I have a very deep loving relationship with her, and she passed this last year from her physical body, and she's now appearing like an enormous blue angelic dolphin over me, and she's hovering and staying inside of the galactic Earth star biosphere like an ascended master, to stay as a guardian and a guide and a healer for us. And this is what happens. This is what ascended masters do. They go through all the challenges like we are. They become self-realized. So every pain you've ever had has forced you to find a new solution, has forced you to find a way through. You know that I used to tell myself I was completely panicked or whatever was happening in the moment felt like the worst thing ever. And I would say, you know, in 2 days, you're still going to be here. Right? Or I'm going to go through this. It's going to come out one way or the other, and I can choose how I go through the next 2 days before I find out. You know, let's say you go have a cancer test and you're really scared and you've got 2 days to get the results. Are you going to live those 2 days feeding into the potential future you of fear and cancer and so on? Or are you going to genuinely go and ask all these guides for your soul medicine? What is this for? What's the message? And how do I walk through this energetically on a higher level so I don't have to do it, or that I can align with the most optimal next timeline? All right. So often the people who are ascended masters, I told you all of this, is spiritually awakened. They've gone through all the pains. Once you awaken to your true soul purpose, so the idea of being self-realized means that you realize that you are this divine multidimensional being, but you're not like, oh, I'm a God, like all God, and I'm God of all things, and I can make everybody do stuff. No, you are a God because you are divine energy, and you can, once you unplug from all of these ideas of the limits that you have. I am a woman who's 62, who lives here, who has this and who doesn't have that, and who lost this and who did that, and blah, 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 blah. I love my life paradigm, my personality, the person that I'm playing this lifetime. I even love my younger self. I love myself who's been through pain. I love myself that got uber fat. But that is because I'm looking back at that as, wow, look what I did. I came in as a soul. I went through all these ups and downs. I see the patterns now. I see the symbols now. I understand why that happened and that happened and that happened, because then later when I was 30, this happened and those connected and then completed this and it led me to that lesson. It reconnected me to this mystery school. I didn't know anything about mystery schools. Now I was in 3 of them and and you can look at your life. It is full of guidance. It is full of magic. It is full of all of this stuff because you are the creator of your life experience, and your life experience has been consumed by the conditioned mind. Now your divine nature and your timelessness happens. You break free from believing you have to do whatever everybody else thinks. You break free from thinking that you have to run and rush and be obligated to everyone. You break free of the thought that you don't have time for your spiritual practice every day. There's nothing that I love better than when my client comes to me and says, I've tipped the scale. I literally can't go a day without doing my spiritual practice. I give everybody a daily activation or something to repeat daily or other things. I've got tons of this stuff, simple to longer, whatever it is you want, you need something every day. And when you get your own experience of how much it changes your life, changes your reality, changes the outcome, changes your emotional attachments, changes everything. You do not have to try to change the physical world from the physical world. As a God, you created from within. This is a mental universe created from a divine essence that can manipulate the energies. So you have to become it in order to see it. You cannot grab it from outside of you. You have to become it from within. The gods and goddesses are coming through very strong right now, and they are saying, if you do not embody the concept that you have God, goddess, consciousness, whatever you call it, within you, you cannot create the reality outside of you. You are the projector. You are not the gatherer. That is how you perceive it in the physical world. But when you go out of your body, when you receive that you do not have to be in the body anymore, or you do not have to be in person anymore, or that you can communicate on many levels anymore, you become an ascended master because you don't need to incarnate, and yet you may want to. You may come in and out of bodies. You may borrow someone's body. It's called a walk-in. You may come in for a short amount of time. Nan's daughter came in for a very short amount of time and had such a profound impact across the planet on so many people. It was almost stunning. And so the body consciousness is not what we're looking for. We're looking for embodying, okay, the qualities inside of divinity entering form, created to function for the highest purpose and good of your soul's plan, the path. There was a big meeting when you were born. There was a big meeting when you were formed. There was a big meeting and you were there. And every single time you were there, you were in it, and you were agreeing to it, and you knew it, and you understood it. And you also knew that as a descended God, you would need to trust the other gods, goddesses, the ascended masters, the nature spirits, the earth biosphere, fellow beings and travelers in whatever form. You would have to support each other. And you were able to choose which ones you wanted to support. And you were able to receive this expert guidance from gods and goddesses from all of these realms at the time of your soul's formation. So the design is a divine design, and you don't understand the design. The ascended masters understand the design. We who've reached God and God consciousness, goddess consciousness, I am not talking as Nancy, is that we have released ourselves from the false illusions that we can either change something through force or create good through fear and evil. We have released the paradigm and we go to the center. We reconnect to the flow from source. We know that there's codes and symbols, the ones that belong to us, that we embody, we come in with. As a god, this is Apollo. Namaste, thank you, thank you. Apollo is a Greek sun god. Thank you, solstice. This is wonderful. I appreciate your being here. I did not know who was coming through. We acknowledge the sacred space, and as a guided, beautiful space together in this circle, we welcome Apollo, god of the sun. The most important part is that as the god of the sun, I radiate gold light. So there is no way for me to separate from being the light. That's God consciousness. When you are one with, you are not in, you are not connected to, you are not loved by, you are not supported by, you are not looking at, you are not longing for, you are not separate from, you are. The I am that you speak of is the I am of realizing the light within you has everything you need. It will open in the right moment if you allow it. The God consciousness on this planet has been holding a very difficult space, but that was part of the plan. You must understand, never go into the dark. Understand the dark and the light are both part of the one. The yin and the yang is not a darkness of bad. It is a different pole. It is the two sides that make the whole. You cannot eat the flesh of the orange if you do not have all of the things. The orange is the fruit. The fruit did not appear whole in the physicality. It grew from the idea of this beautiful being, to be filled with this essences, this health, this vibrancy, and it holds the sun energies. The juice that you feel, the deliciousness, the sweetness, all the ways that you use it, enjoy it. This is the gift of this being. This is a God. This is a being who has completely embodied that it is come for a specific purpose and it is going to be itself. It trusts as it grows from the seed that as soon as the environment is right, it blooms, it blossoms, it sprouts, it grows, and it's willing to receive whatever it needs. But it's not just receiving the sun in the physicality. It's not just receiving the rain. It's not just receiving the earth to hold the roots. It is receiving the love from Gaia's heart. It's receiving the crystal vibrations that send it clarity and pull away the toxins every day. It's receiving the guidance from the nature spirits of the waters. The waters that come in to feed it are not physicality. They are beings, and they always start with a God or God consciousness. Everything radiates first from light. The light on this planet that represents most the God consciousness is the sun. And most the goddess, the feminine consciousness is the moon. It is the same. The moon is the sunlight, absorbed and received. That is that polar energy. I radiate. That energy receives. We both are in a dance of purity. There's no limits or not good enough or any of this stuff here. It's I am radiating the fullness of my being. I am being who I was designed to be. And then this polar energy, my complement, the other side of me, we are one. This moon energy absorbs all of my light, unabashedly opening, receiving, Receiving with no guilt, receiving with no limit, receiving with no effort, absorbing and allowing. It's all here. And then what happens? This is your lesson to become light radiating from your own being. The light you receive from the moon is me, is the sun. But once it is received and absorbed into the moon, is like when you receive the sun, the blessings, the codes. You receive it and it becomes a part of you. And if you let it, it shifts, it grows, it awakens, it allows you to expand, to grow new branches, to reach higher heights, to receive more information, to have more of a capacity to be a part of your life. Only when you're like the moon, where you receive completely, can you then say, now I am full within me. I am filled with the light, but I am not just reflecting the sun. I am something new. I have created. I am the God, goddess, creator of my reality, because everything I was designed to be is here. And then the sun comes in, and then the moon comes in, and then I absorb it all, and it mixes with my energies. And then I am that I am, and I radiate out. Now I am the projector that will reflect the reality in the ethers that becomes the reality of your life. I wish upon you the wings of this lesson. This is an opportunity to fly, to feel what it is, to be again the creator. In truth, we are all co-creators, as we are one. And I bless you now with the fullness of this solstice sun and ask you to receive it without any barriers. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, well. So I'm going to feel into what's coming through next, because they're all here. And we mentioned, well, that's what this is. So this is calcite, and this is an excellent solar, gold solar energy. At the crystal store, I was talking to the beautiful being there of it. And we got a chance to really understand the infusion of gold sun energy this holds. So I'm very excited, and we appreciate that infusion from Apollo. Depending on how you received that, what you felt, you may go look up more information about him or other sun deities. Every culture has a different embodiment of a particular deity. So this is Isis. She's a goddess, as many of you know. Unfortunately, that was taken over by some terrorist thing, and my mother actually doesn't remember there was a goddess named Isis, but she is the quintessential mother goddess from Egypt. She is the mother of the chosen one, Horus, who's the all-seeing eye, the wife of Osiris, a god of resurrection and renewal. And that story being retold over and over with Jesus and Mary and Joseph and other cultures, and over, same beings, same pantheon through time and space with gods and goddesses. You can look at the Roman or the Greek pantheon, and it's always, there's a similar structure. There's different names, different stories, sometimes depending on the culture, the time, the awareness. And they knew that we were going to go into the darkness. Everybody knew. Atlantis was putting spheres of light and structures and grids. The dolphins have been filling our oceans with grids and raising the frequency. The gods, goddesses, ascended masters, and some of these other beings have been working so hard, and the nature spirits, to maintain balance on the planet and then co-create a space for this ascension that we're in. And so it's a bit of a hot mess, but this is just being in the cocoon of the metamorphosis. So there's an underlying plan. Bast is a goddess from Egypt that is the quintessential healer. She's also embodied sometimes as a woman, and she is also an aspect of Sekhmet. More people know Sekhmet, the lion-headed goddess, and I did these in the goddess sanctuary. Bast and Sekhmet came through, and it was absolutely fascinating how they embody different aspects. It's not like, oh, this one embodies this one thing. No, if you think about a cat, a literal black cat, just like this, small, domesticated, sweet, usually fun, she is the quintessential healer, as cats are. Absolutely the best healer, quintessential in every way. And with the heart, everything. Then, as she grows, she evolves, she morphs into Sekhmet, a grown woman with the head of a lion, with that royal ability. And it's not about the violence that's perceived with lions. It's about that heart, ability to speak, and all of these things. So when she came through in the goddess salon, it was so profound. We had people who worked with her on their own afterwards for a long, long time and had very profound things. So you might come along and just suddenly resonate with one and all of a sudden have that. But what I love is going to these different entities, read up on them if you feel called to anybody in particular, and then go in and have your own conversation, your own connection with that energy. You're going to look between the lines and feel into the meaning for you. We have to remember that all information on the internet is repeated and often just copied over and over and not sourced at all. A lot of stuff was written by cultures who conquered other peoples and then lied about everything, including erasing their culture. And so we don't know the truth of history. And when we have sacred information come down, we have to decipher it. We have to let that energy come into us. That's why you want to develop your intuition. You want to do these different light body activations I teach you in my class, because then what comes through to you, you know it is only the message and the medicine that is optimal for you that is going to come through. You're not going to start chasing goose chases. And that way, whatever's happening in your life, you will know in that moment, oh, okay, this is working. So if you need deep healing, just pure, the most loving deep healing, you can call on Bast. If you love cats, that's probably a natural. If you want that courage, that voice, if you want to stand tall, you want to own your royalty, then you become the lion-headed goddess. You become the feminine aspect of strength. It's like a male lion, but in a female body. So we have that embodiment of wholeness and bringing together your strength and your voice with your ability to stand in your own healing and your own soul medicine. All of these beings have specific medicines, specific energies they can help you with. Thoth is wonderful for learning light body science, magic, the universal principles, any kind of medicine, and anything, of course, with ancient Egypt. And he taught the flower of life, which is the sacred geometrical shape of all form anywhere, and is the key to understand light languages and other realms and all these things we're talking about. So sacred geometries, Ganesha is another god that I love working with. This is a Hindu god, and none of these things are religious to me in any way, just tells you the history of it. I resonate with the being or I don't. And my experiences with Ganesh through time have been phenomenal. Essentially, he's the remover of obstacles, and he works through his little mouse, and he's in music, and he's extremely beautiful and wonderful once you get to play with his energy. Buddha and Quan Yin, very important in my life always. She holds compassion. She takes your pain away from you and surrounds you with compassion, no matter what. She is an ascended master. She's a bodhisattva, and that's like a female Buddha. And what happened is she went through a life of a lot of pain and fear and torture. She ascended. She became self-realized. She unhooked from all the stuff. She didn't feel sorry for herself anymore. She didn't stay stuck to someone else's agenda. She literally had to go her weird way, and she ascended, and she decided she didn't want to leave. She didn't want to go do other stuff. She wanted to stay in what I call the biosphere of the Earth galactic universe and help us. because she had so much compassion from the pain that she suffered and the loss that she suffered, that she holds that for the world. So you can literally crawl into her lap if you're feeling the need for it, and I have on many occasions. She's in every room. She's with me all the time. She's one of my favorite ascended masters. Now remember, the gods and goddesses can hold these enormous spaces for us, and they can come in and they teach, and they hold that super, super high level of consciousness where they're not attached to anything. Super cat energy, right? Detach, come back. However, the ascended man, you might get like, ooh, I don't know, can I work with this? I have sometimes in private sessions, gods, goddesses, and different beings come in. I always ask to be shown or connect to the guides that are optimal for my client at the time. And we go on these incredible journeys into their soul and their other lives. And this is the kind of work that I do. And it's always show up in the container, connect to what's optimal for them, see what their agenda is, like what their current challenge is, put that into the energy, and then allow their soul to open the doors in the Akasha or in the between the dimensions or whatever we're meant to do, and the guides that come in. So I remember at the end of one reading once telling someone that I can't remember who, but it was like a big goddess. It was like Isis or something is here to work with you, and another one and another god. And they were like, afterwards, they go, I can't believe that they would be working with me. I don't feel good enough. And so they actually, after they received all the healing, everything, it's all there. And then you have it on a recording, and she went home and repeated it so that it started to shift, because she's integrating. The initial session is always a massive healing and journey, and it's amazing. But then you keep working with that over a few days or a few weeks, and a massive shift happens and integrates within. So the gift of that, among the other things that we did, was that those enormous beings showed up. Like, oh my gosh, the most important person on the planet just showed up for me. Oh my gosh. And it was part of the healing was to trigger that feeling of not good enoughness. And I've gone through it. I still notice it sometimes. Like, I have some ascended masters, Paramahansa Yogananda, one of my favorite ones. He brought Kriya Yoga to the West, Kriya Yoga. You can read the autobiography of yoga. And he embodied love for the planet. And he brought yoga and the Eastern teachings to the West. And he built the self-realization foundations, the ones in LA and San Diego I'm very familiar with. And so he's a very important guide to me. I learned Kriya Yoga from my very first meditation teacher and didn't even know I was initiated into the path. That means that I have been in other lives with him in that path of love, self-realization, and I used to go to the meditation gardens almost every day. They're not open one day a week, but because I lived near the Encinitas one, and I would enter the grounds with my headset with the same meditation of chakra tones, and I would walk with intention, touching the ground with my feet, saying hello to the garden, to the earth, to the flowers, to the path, talking to the nature spirits as I walked up, and knowing he was there. He's long gone out of a body, but knowing that he was there, and he used to teach there, and he used to do things there. And then I would find whichever spot was my meditation spot. It's a meditation garden, so there's lots of spots. Sometimes it's overlooking the ocean. Sometimes it was by the fish pond. Sometimes it was tucked away over here. And then that place and those energies would come. And I was going to do my first ayahuasca journey, and I was very, 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 very scared. And so I went and meditated all afternoon first at the gardens. And I sat, and I had seen him several times. I would come out of meditation and open my eyes, and I would see him standing on the cliff. He's not in body anymore, right? So I was seeing his etheric body, or I was seeing through time and space. And then I would see him sitting next to me. And he came and sat next to me that day. And I asked him, will you come with me, please? And he said, of course. I sat down in my ayahuasca journey, and I crossed my legs, and I sat into sacred pose, and you create your little nest. And I was in this living room with about 9 other people and the shaman. And I have had panic attacks, claustrophobia. I hate throwing up. There's a whole lot of stuff going on here that I had to get through but I knew I was called to the spiritual experience. And so I was sitting there breathing. I had my medicine. Things are starting to change. And then he manifested next to me, sitting next to me with little crossed legs. just like he had at the garden. And I said, thank you so much for being here. And we sat there, and pretty soon I was waiting for something to happen. I had gone through a lot of fear for the first hour, and a lot of fear. Oh my God, I shed 1,000 lifetimes of fear came through me. It was not fun, but it was fast and furious. And that's what I like about what we're doing now, is let's just get through this shit. And then I started to breathe and meditate. I started to realize that I started to see the rainbows in the eyes and come into this altered dimension. But it was very peaceful the time that I was there with him. And we were sitting together like we were sitting at the Meditation Gardens, the Self-Realization Foundation in Encinitas. And we weren't there. We were in the house at the ayahuasca journey. And I was sitting there, and I could see him, my whole crown and third eye was awakened. I was seeing with all my other senses and dimensions. And I was aware of my physical body, but I was also aware of all the other things that were happening for me through the veils on the many levels. So when you work with these different beings, they can open the veils and realms. They can help to guide you or to absorb you into their frequency so that you can shift into these higher states, or you can see through their eyes, or they can download something to you that you can't touch because you are not able to touch that higher frequency. Remember that snakes are high vibration beings, and the reason that their venom is poisonous to us often is because it's a high frequency medicine. It can perform miracles when it's used correctly. It is a powerful healing vibration. It's a powerful soul-opening vibration that you can't use any vibration in a body that cannot handle that frequency. It's like taking somebody who's been bedridden for 3 months and then telling them to go run a marathon. They're not going to be able to do it. They are not prepared. So what happened was we were sitting here, and I said, what are we waiting for? And he told me that we're waiting for the sky to open. And I thought, okay. So my focus was, I'm sitting here, I'm next to him. There's just, my reality around me. I'm not in the room anymore. We're not even in that physicality. And I'm feeling peaceful, but my focus is up here, the sky, right? And what happened was that it opened inside of me. It was like suddenly the whole world, the universe, the galaxy, the stars opened in my solar plexus, and it opened up inside of me. And I was like, oh, I was looking the wrong place. I was being the fly that's trying to get out the window when the door is open over here. And it opened up, and I became one with the universe. And then we were sitting together at the Encinitas Self-Realization Foundation, and it was like everybody was moving around us in fast forward, and we're just sitting in this peaceful bubble of light. And I watched years and years and years of his work there go on. While he sat next to me, he sat here. People came and went, came and went, came and went, came and went. Oh, Bill did this, da, 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 da. And he told me, look, this is how you make a difference. You cannot be the one who's chasing this and making that and doing this. These people all came with my mission. They came to support me. And I'm the one that has to radiate the information, the love, the journey, the mission I was given. So we hear these stories, right? You hear the story of Lord Sananda or Yeshua ben Joseph or Jesus. And there's a time when he's like, oh, I don't want to do this. This is too hard. This is way too hard. I know I took this on. I know my mission. I'm awakened. I'm an awakened, ascended master. I'm still in a body, and the body hurts, and this should be hard. And I don't think I want to go through this. And this is normal. We have that night of the dark soul. We have that night of self-doubt. We have that night of fear where we have to walk through the physicality or all the karmic fear that we're holding so that our soul can be free of all of that. So he was showing me things that I wanted to know at the time, because I suddenly said to him, how did you start a movement that's lasted over 100 years, past your death? And then he showed me this. He said, you have to be the center. You have to be the creator. You have to allow the energy to come into you, and you have to let it infuse your mission. And your mission then begins to radiate out. And then the people and the pathways and everything becomes attracted to you that helps to manifest it. Right? It doesn't mean that he didn't do anything and he sat, but he had to be the core essence of what his purpose was And then we hear, oh, when you're ready, the teacher appears, or when you need something, the room of requirement, right? It shows up, that it's all here. You just have to find it. But we're so busy trying to find it with our mind and our hard work and all the other stuff and worrying about all the things we were told to worry about. It's very difficult for us to be in these pure states. So this is what they're holding for you. And I got to see that. I got to feel that. I got to embody that, what it was like to be him holding his mission. And then I asked him, oh, I guess I forgot that part. I said something and he just moved into me. He went from sitting next to me in a cross-legged pose and it just merged with me, and I was within him. And I realized that at that point my physical body was actually sitting with the crossed legs like a yogi, which I cannot do. I have a knee and other things. I can't do that. And yet it was happening because I was essentially in his body and I was seeing through him. And the opportunity to do those things, you don't have to go to have ayahuasca to do that. I would go to the meditation gardens daily, and I've done only, I think, 4 ayahuasca ceremonies, and I don't feel called to anymore. If I do, maybe I will. Sacred medicine in any way, that is a plant medicine. We're talking about medicine. We're talking about the medicine is a medicine for your soul that at the right moments is helpful, at other moments could not be helpful, and that's the awareness. So the beingness of him being there with me through so much and calling to him and having him usually he's downstairs on one of my altars, and his Self-Realization Foundation honors him and his predecessors, his teachers, and Babaji, who I've worked with, and Jesus is one of their ascended masters that they have. So I do have that. And I didn't work with Lord Sananda till I went to my first mystery school, and we were calling in this circle of guides every day. And Athena, white buffalo calf women, wonderful ascended master and goddess energies that I love, 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 being a little Greek girl that came in remembering all the Greek gods in life. And I don't work with Athena right now on a regular daily basis, but I did for a very long time. Calling in Lord Sananda, I was just like, okay, who's Lord Sananda? Fell in love with him, embodiment of love, found out later it's essentially Jesus. But I had a resistance to Jesus because I didn't like the religion, Christianity, judgment, killing people and all that stuff. So I kind of just said, I don't know about that. So you're going to change through time, the beings. I worked with Kuthumi for a very long time. And through Melchizedek and through these other ascended masters, there's times when they were very, very present, and times that I'm just like, I'm the embodiment now. I've downloaded whatever the essence that I required from them, and I no longer need to consciously be going, oh, help me, oh, help me. They're either with me when it's optimal, or I tune into what I knew from them, or I reconnect to the pathways that have been formed, the intuitive connections or the phone lines or the email, so to speak. It's the same thing, right, that I've developed through working with these energies. So remember that when you work with any energies, whether they spontaneously come to you or you feel drawn to something and you suddenly start buying little figures or whatever it is, listen to it. It is something that's speaking from another part of your soul. It is something that's calling you forward, that medicine. All right, so let's wrap up here with a couple of cards and readings and see what else we have. This is Kukulkan. This is one of my favorite gods now. This is the Mayan god Kukulkan. The Aztecs called it Quetzalcoatl, and it is a feathered serpent. You see the feathers. And it is that quintessential serpent energy that every culture revered because of the ability for transformation, the ability to find your way back to your spirit, to your source, to shed the old. And this is what we have to do right now. So through very difficult times and through very magical times in the last 6.5 years since I've lived in this area, I've come to know, and he's almost always here by my side. When I was in the emergency room, when I was going through my near-death experience, I would hear this little snake rattle, and then I would hear shed, shed, shed. And I have had times when I literally was shedding tears or pain or past or connections or blame or skin, literally in that world. So Lakshmi, you may be familiar. A lot of people love Lakshmi. Lakshmi is, of course, one of my favorite goddesses, and I also worked with her in my goddess salon. And Lakshmi is a goddess that embodies wealth, abundance, and riches, but spiritual riches. You see the lotus flowers representing the awakened crown. Her hat represents the pineal gland. Here she's her aura and everything else. And she's pouring coins on you. This is a luck, physical reality, but everything you see is in the field of abundance. It's all couched in material and spiritual abundance. And so if this is something you really want, if you really want, I need money, remember that everything comes from spirit. You don't make money from the physical world. You make money through who you're being in spirit. So calling on something like this is calling on the fact that she's balanced above and below. She's in the spiritual realm above. She's in the physical realm below. She's manifesting into the 3D. Usually there's coins. Are there coins? Yeah, here's the coins coming out here. And she's radiating rays of sunlight right out of her pineal. She has all of this going on here in her crown. This is exactly what you're going to be doing. You're going to be embodying all of these things. She's got the awakened third eye, right? And she's got multiple arms because she's living a multidimensional life. She's in the physicality and she's also in the spirituality. So these different entities may resonate with you, and you may realize that they hold energies that feel very, very blessed to you or very strong. I don't know if you're familiar with Kali. She's a very intense goddess who has a lot of arms and a lot of knives, and she comes in and just cuts everything. And she terrified me as I was getting to know. I went through many, many years with a goddess group and learning ritual and learning the seasonal things and learning the elements and working with the shamans and the Native Americans. And then the goddesses and all these different beings started to come forward. And it was such a beautiful thing to get to know them. So as you have experiences with them, they come forward. And I was needing to have a divorce. I was needing to say I needed out of a 25-year marriage. And I was avoiding it and getting sick, and a lot of things were happening. And so she finally appeared, and I finally said yes. And she came in and helped me. And her energy at that time, she's not something I want around all the time, but she came in and she was willing to do what I couldn't. She was willing to say, okay, we're going to start to change this. We're going to just do this. Now, I don't recommend cutting cords in your energy body. I recommend dissolving it, releasing it, accepting it, talking to it, doing a lot of other things because it's a part of you. But energetically, her energy is to come in and say, this is over, that's over, this is over, that's over. Okay, I did the hard work. Now, here you are. And then you call in someone like Quan Yin, or you call in Mary, Mother Mary, again, another being that I didn't resonate with at all because of the Christianity of it. And yet here she is. She's hanging out with me a lot. And White Buffalo Calf Woman is the Native American prophetess who brings the peace pipe and is the sign of the rainbow tribe coming back together. Us coming back together as one, as peaceful, being individuals in peace together. And I don't work with her on a daily basis, but I worked with her on a daily basis for years. And I didn't feel worthy of her. I didn't understand her. But calling her in every day to my circle and just acknowledging it, then at certain times, something would change. A door would open. Suddenly she'd show up. She'd come closer. There'd be a stronger message. I would get visions. And then she came through for my goddess sanctuary it's in the shop if you're interested. And so she's one of the goddesses that we journeyed with, we talked to, we got messages from, and it was fascinating. And I realized how connected I was to the idea of her mission of bringing people back to peace and bringing people back united within a rainbow, with recognizing we are one, but we're all different. And that's what everything is about right now. Let me just look around. Merlin, I work with every day. Excuse me. I'm getting very dry mouth when I talk. Merlin, I work with every day. He's in what I call my Light Body Council. So my Light Body Council took form for me, morphed from my original mystery school. I would work with those, and then I would add my own. And then you may have different gods, goddesses. You may have different entities or ascended masters that come in and out of your life. And one of the bonuses that I'm giving with this year's summer school is a one day. It's about 3 hours. It's not the whole day, but it's just the one time. It's all recorded if you can't come live. But I think around July 9th, because we start the summer school on the 15th of July. And around July 9th, we're going to have this time together where we're going to meet your spirit guide council. So whether you've had a spirit guide council, whether you work with certain gods and goddesses or fairies or Ganesha or whatever resonates with you, has resonated with you, could be crystals. You maybe resonate with the turquoise realm. I have them all around me. They have different purposes, and they've gone places with me, and I hold them, and we've communicated, and we're extremely intimately connected. So as you go through this, though, part of your conscious creation, consciously becoming the creator, is going and developing your intuition, developing your spiritual nature, developing your extrasensory abilities in a conscious and intentional way. And one of the most powerful things you can do is go in and intentionally say, I am ready to meet the council of spirit guides that are optimal for me in this moment. And come with me, come into my sacred space, come into our sacred temple of light, and I'm going to activate, cleanse, clear, give you a space to connect, draw it in. We're going to have a blast while over a couple of hours, you're going to meet and greet and connect to a spirit guide council. I don't know who's going to come into your council. Maybe it'll be Isis or Quan Yin. Maybe it'll be Thoth. Maybe it'll be Ishel, my goddess. Maybe it'll be the dolphins. Maybe it'll be the crickets. I don't know. There's this beautiful being here, Maitreya. I don't know if you're familiar with Maitreya, but Maitreya is kind of was like the precursor of Jesus. He's a small round Buddha. He was a Buddhic person. He's a ascended master, and he lived as a Buddhist monk who was renowned for his compassion and generosity. And a lot of people, he's all about increasing your happiness and joy. It's a little bit like the dolphins. So maybe you might resonate with that. You might see that big happy. This is the kind of Maitreya Buddha, with the big belly and happy and jolly and bringing that kind of love. I would rub every day the belly of the Buddha as my honor to this beautiful being coming into my life. When I brought this particular statue home, it was a miracle story that it came from. So I wouldn't let it go when I got rid of everything. And I traveled with it, and I've rubbed a belly, and Buddha in a lot of forms. There's a lot of different Buddha energy. It's not a god. Buddha was a man and ascended. So the beauty that these ascended masters have for us is that if you can meet your guides in your council, and you can say, okay, so currently in my council, there's different councils that come forward. There's a core council, and then there's a council that comes forward when I'm doing work with a client. And then there's a council that comes forward when I'm teaching a particular class, depending on the topic. All right. So this is kind of it. It's like experts come in to help you with different projects, with different people, with different conversations, with different decisions. And then you have your core spirit guides that are around you. So you can buy that on its own if you do not want to join the Intuition Awakening Summer Camp about connecting to nonstop spiritual guidance and understanding the messages, messengers, and medicine that are coming in. We're going to dive into these realms deeper. I'm going to be able to take you into experiences and new activations. And the really fun thing is we're going to start before the class. I'm going to get you connected to your new, or could be new, could be old, could be a new combination of, or new that you are aware of them. Now, during these classes when they're live, the fun thing is I'm here to see it. If you go, I think I saw this person, I saw that, what does it mean? I don't know this. I'm here to help you decipher it. I'm an expert at that. I can see things, and I tune into your energy, and I start to interpret. I call it intuitive reading, but it's really deeper than that. I interpret it for you. So I'm seeing a green emerald, and somebody's having this as a guide. It's glowing over here, but then it's projecting up and becoming Hilarion. Hilarion is an ascended master. And so maybe this person, what I'm seeing is that this person said, I saw a green emerald, but I don't understand that as a spirit guide. And then I would come and say, okay, let me take a look. What did you feel? I say, oh, okay, look at this. Oh, it's actually part of the energy for some reason that Hilarion is holding. And this is also a being that lived, that had ascension, things happening. And so what you do is have these, call them in every day. So the cool thing about that course is that you're going to then have the opportunity to call them in every day. I'm going to leave you with, of course, the teaching and the activations and the meeting, so you can repeat the processes where we go and we're meeting them or we're talking to them. And then you're going to have a daily connection that you just put it on. It's going to be less than 30 minutes, and you're going to sit down and you're going to call them in. You're going to create your sacred space. You're going to be able to communicate with your spirit guides. And that's going to open you to the summer school this year so that the nonstop spiritual guidance can become your norm. All right. Okay. So let's see. Is there anyone else who wants to speak today? Is there anything that we are, that is optimal? Yes. Okay. I think so. We're going to go in and, yes, you can. I'm looking at all of my beings here. I pulled out the cards for people, for all these different, Pan is here. Pan. Okay. That's interesting because Pan is often thought of as a god and also as a magical creature. So a lot of these categories can cross, right? And Pan became very important to me. So the stories I want to illustrate to you how you connect to these different beings. They didn't have these kind of classes I do back in the day. So yay for you to be able to get this like this. However, you find through the processes, through your awakening, through your soul guided life, okay, you find the different teachers and the magical mentors and the schools and the wisdom and the knowledge and the awakening, and it triggers something within you, or you learn it and then you remember it and then it downloads into you, and then you connect with a life when you were a homeopath and you start working with your German self that you were in another life. I was in Germany when homeopathy was being developed. I was having a life back then, and I didn't know it till I started studying homeopathy, and even after that actually, but it resonated so strongly with it. It came so naturally to me, and then I realized that I was a part of the movement with Hahnemann and testing and creating and using these powerful medicines. And it's all about understanding vibrational essences, the medicine within something that lives at a different frequency, a subtle realm. It isn't this hardcore 3D that bam is going to poison you and kill you. It's the venom or the arnica or the poison that we could perceive taken out, and the frequency of the essence received. So all of these things are guides on your path. So I was learning to be a healer in so many realms: radionics, I was learning Tellington touch, energy healing, animal communication, deep pendulum work with a radionics teacher, and that's like, there's no way to describe how deep that was. All I know is that if I pick up a pendulum, I am solid rock, like a steel pillar, that nothing will interrupt that message. And it was not an easy thing to learn, but I have it now, so I'm grateful. Thank you, Shelley. And so I was like, this teacher, Shelley, showed up in my life, and I started to connect with her like twice a year when she would come, and then it wasn't enough. And so we started to fax each other. This was pre-internet. And then I went and lived with her at her house in France for a few months to learn deeper and every day be immersed in her world. And she would just, at night, she'd just whip a book off the shelf. And she would say, so she was an in-body mentor for me. She wasn't an easy person, okay? She was brilliant. She was incredibly psychic. She could go travel realms and bring back information. She was channeled in a whole, she deciphered the chakras for energy centers. They're really called for dogs, cats, horses, and created a whole range of frequency medicine for them specifically instead of using humans. And it was just an incredible, incredible experience to be an apprentice of hers, to be in that space. But she was also not able to handle being in a body really well. So this is the thing, is we think everything has to be perfect. Oh, the magical teacher will show up and we'll all be kissing each other. It's a little bit that way with me. I'm going to hug you. I'm going to kiss you. I'm going to love you up. Then I'm going to tell you the truth. Then I'm going to give you a little bit of this. Then we're going to go through some woo together. Then we're going to, and I am a much more loving kind of guide than teacher that I've had many times. However, it was her wisdom and her knowledge and her lineage that I had never experienced. And so she's British. She was from South Africa, actually. And so she would just whip off these old books off the shelf and throw it at me and be like, oh, The Secrets of the Atomic Age, you need to read this. Or, Shamanism for the New Age, A Guide to Radiesthesia, you need to read this. Stuff I'd never even heard of. I read, I don't know, everything from Blavatsky to, I can't remember the other one. I had all the books that were so hard to read. And then she would challenge my psychicness, which was really scary and really amazing. So she'd say, oh, you should read this, or oh, there's this. And so what happened was I became familiar with the teachings of the, I think it's called the Great White Brotherhood, and the idea of creating this healing that was through calling in your own team. And your team is energy beings of light, of white light, that are optimal for you. And you lay down, basically, you call them in, and you wait, you watch and sense to see what they do. You give them permission, you tell them what you might need help with, and then you wait a little bit while, 10 minutes, 30 minutes, and they work with you. Over time, I was not good at the time. It took me a long time to start to understand, to feel, to sense. I'd be like, oh, I think I felt something, to know that there were beings there working with me and to get to know them. But part of the process I learned from that was to call on Pan and the overlighting Deva of healing. And I highly recommend those beings because that became something I learned from that process, but then I absorbed into my life because I created such a powerful connection to Pan, of course, being my Greek goddess girl from birth in this one, and the magicalness, the woodsiness, the fairiness, all that aspect of Pan. But remember, Pan is considered a god. Or a demigod or whatever, but the embodiment is as the god of nature. So in this essence, he was holding the energy of the god of nature. What is that? Everything we've been talking about, all of nature, nature spirits, crystal spirits, ascended masters, angels, cats, your cat, everything. Okay. And so he is holding the masculine energy, the magical energy, and the God consciousness. Okay. That's the highest level of not being attached to anything to alter your frequency. All right. And he would hold that when I would activate this sacred container to connect with my team. MAP, it's called MAP, M-A-P. It stood for something specific. And you can probably still find it, MAP, the MAP healing system. But I extracted that, and then you'd call the overlighting Deva of healing, which is kind of like a fairy nature spirit essence. And that is holding that feminine polarity, the yin and the yang. And those two, to me, would connect at the top of my sphere of light, like into a whole sphere, like a yin and a yang. And they would hold the space. And then I would travel with Pan. If you read Michael Rhodes' books, he had a whole book where he became nature, he became water, he became crystal, he became all these dog, he became all these things, and Pan was his guide. Pan came to him after he had his awakening, after he stopped poisoning the land as a farmer, and he started talking to nature. Then Pan took him one step further once he had developed the ability to see and trust that nature had a voice, to hear it, to respect it, go through all of his ups and downs and experiences. Fascinating books, by the way, talking to nature. And being nature. And then Pan said, okay, next level. You have to become these things. You have to enter their consciousness, their essence. You have to feel from within exactly what Apollo told us today. You have to feel from within, right? The essence of whatever that is. So when he became Crystal, he wasn't like, oh, what's the message, Crystal? Or what would it be like to be Crystal? He entered completely and let go of his identity and became that. And this is part of what Pan and the overlight of Deming of healing, to me, both go together. But Pan was his guide. Now, you might not relate to that, but this is who's coming through right now. Okay. We give great thanks. Boom, I want a bing bong here. Pan. So we give great thanks for this gathering. There's just so many gods, goddesses, and energies here that it's just, they're beaming down on us, they're gifting us, they're holding us, they're speaking to each of you individually. You might be receiving downloads and messages, connections and rewirings and healings right now from gods and goddesses or other ascended masters or other beings that we've called in, that we have in our collective temple of light here every day we return to. It's building brighter and brighter. And that are speaking to you, that are connecting to you. So we open our hearts and our minds, and we acknowledge this sacred container that we have been in together here, receiving these information, receiving these connections, awakening thoughts and awarenesses and memories, triggering the energy fields to begin to open. Is that true? Is that a possibility? I never knew that. Oh, that's right. Oh, I forgot about that. Oh, this is here. All of the information that has come through is pouring through as little key codes, typing into the keypad of your energy field. And we're putting in new codes and we're releasing old programs. And everything in this space is designed for you to rise to your highest good. So we call on now Pan and the overlighting Deva of healing. And we give great thanks as these beautiful beings become more manifest in this space, as we allow our hearts and our minds, knowing that we are safe in this divine space, we open and connect in whatever way is optimal at this time. So take a moment to really breathe in the essence of this being, Pan, god of nature, typically shown as half goat, half human, playing a flute, dancing, partying, enjoying the woods, playing with the spirits, bringing this joy. Now allow Pan to expand. Allow the beingness, the essence. It's glowing like a green light to me in my space, and it's opening and expanding like a fan, like a neon green fan. You see and perceive this whatever way you are. Just watch, be receptive, and grateful. Thank you so much, Pan, for joining us. As you know, I love you dearly, and we've connected and traveled and played through the years so much. And the beauty and the wonder of the nature, the natural world, from the animals, the waters, the elementals, to the crystals, to everything, to the beauty of the music that you play, the dance that you have within this, showing us that if you dance in nature, the music will rise, the light, the frequency will come, the medicine will be released. To be full of life, to play, to know that you're sure-footed. We appreciate all that you embody, and we ask you now to give us a message or whatever it is that is optimal for each of us at this time. Namaste. Well, you can't really go into the forest and play with Pan without the fairies coming out. So they started to climb on his back and climb above him. Bug and butterfly type fairies jumping up, playing around. They're saying that, it's still the solstice. We're still playing with the fairy energy. There's still so much to share with you. They want you to feel safe. First and foremost, these realms, the nature, Pan, the overlighting Deva of healing, and all the nature realms, the gods and goddesses, and even the ascended masters that have come forward today specifically for you. They want you to feel safe. This is the first and foremost message that we feel is required at this time. There's a sense of uncertainty, of course. The shifts, the breakdowns, and the revelations that will be coming will be quite different than anything you're used to. And yet, there is a knowingness within you. There is a knowingness that you have what you need, that this is meant to be, that you're entering and moving towards a point where everything will come together as it was destined to. In the realm of creation, in the nature realms, we play We flow, we share, we glow. There's always life force growing and glowing. There's always life force dying and decomposing. We love it all in every phase. We celebrate and dance with it. The key here is that you are nature. You are spirit. You are soul. You are infinite. And you are here now. I'm seeing a cyclops. So Pan is showing me a scene. I'm seeing a cyclops, and it's, got the one big eye on the forehead, but it's big, kind of like a cyclops, sort of giant or something. And it's like carrying this limp body. And it's looking around, going, how, where, what do I do? It's holding, it's like it's carrying you. It's like it's coming out of a cave now. It's like you've been rescued from a dungeon of some kind. It looks like metal torches attached to the wall. And it's looking for an exit, carrying you limp and lifeless almost from some deep dungeon that you've been stuck in, looking everywhere. The Cyclops is coming forward, and Pan is opening a door for you to see this right now. This is within a cell. This is within a cell. This is within your key cells. These are your blueprint cells. These are your imaginal cells. These are your awakening cells. There is a cell that is in distress, that you have died, you have limped, you have gone into the depths of the soul's journey. And this is the being that has rescued you. This is coming up out of that cave, coming up out of the place where you've given up, where you've gone lifeless, where you gave up on who you were meant to be. And this Cyclops is carrying you, strong and big, and nothing can take you from it. It can see, it looks everywhere, and its eye is an inner eye and an outer eye, and it's an eye in multiple dimensions, and it's looking through time and space, through earth and matter. It's looking through crystal and water. And Pan is opening a door. There's a door in a waterfall. He walks through it, coming out of this deep place, walking through a door, an opening in this waterfall. There's a rainbow mist over it. As you pass through that rainbow mist, being carried, whatever has drawn your life force, whatever has taken it, whatever you have given up, is now restored. There's a rock in the middle of this pool here, and there is a circle of gods and goddesses in all forms. There are dolphin gods and goddesses. There's Neptune and mermaid-like beings here. There's Thoth. There's Horus. There is Anubis. There are Sumerian gods with wings and beaks holding the cone of your pineal out to you. Your rescuer has left you here on this stone. You stand here in the middle of this circular place, surrounded by water. It's a bit like a cave. You're deep inside a cave of nature Pan has created just for you. These beings gathered around are here to send you light, to send you love. Maitreya sends a rainbow. The joy begins to shower over you. You don't do anything. You really can't. You're coming out of a lifeless state. Pan has resurrected a part of you that has gone into hibernation, and like a bear in nature, needs to be revived, needs to be rejuvenated, needs to come back into the body bit by bit. White Tara, the goddess, she's coming forward, putting her hand on your heart, drawing to and through you. The fairies and the nature realms and Pan ask you to honor your true feelings. This waterfall pours. It's sending things around you, but you begin to feel roots growing. Isis brings her wings around you, taps your forehead 3 times. Osiris rises from the waters, the Egyptian god of the resurrection, of everlasting life, of opening the door to you to move forward from one life to the next. He says that he will be here to assist you in your awakening, in your becoming. This is a process of renewal. This renewal is being guided by Ganesha. He says that all doors are open for you now. He's cleared the path. You must always look for the open door. Don't look at the closed doors. They do not open. They do not show you the way. They are closed to guide you to move forward. Do not try to open anything, because the possible outcomes that are optimal for you are not behind closed doors. The answer is yes. And then yes. Clearing your path, ensuring a smooth ride. If you are in a bind, you will know it's time to turn around. You will receive guidance from all of us and more. White Tara is here to purify. She continues to bring that. Osiris keeps bringing you rejuvenation, showing you you can be resurrected. He was cut into pieces, brought together by love, and rose to be the gateway to the next life, the life connected to your God consciousness. Allow these energies and any others that are here for you. Now, Pan says, play, dance, and sing, and I will be there with you. Hear me prancing and know that the power of the simplicity, of the joy that I am perceived with, seems to be perceived to not have power. And yet joy, my connection to nature, my ability to know that growth and that these realms of nature create and hold every message and every medicine could ever be needed, is deep, effective, practical power. Play with me, play with these realms. Allow us to play with you. Now, receiving all of these things, the fairies say, look inside of yourself. There is a nest where you will awaken your true self. Finally, we're going to have a message from Quan Yin. This particular oracle, I work with her myself all the time, but occasionally this oracle comes in. It is by Alana for Fairchild. Thank you, thank you, thank you. This ascended master holds the compassion and love always with patience, never ever leaving your side, never judging you, always, always there. Quan Yin brings us this message. It's called Veil of Shadows. The number is 43, which also is a 7. And begin to look at the picture, look at her pose, images, energies, colors, messages, the way she holds her hands. Everything is a message. Everything holds medicine. See what you resonate with. And then tune into her halo here, this beautiful halo that you have. And this is what's awakening. This is your third eye or pineal. This is why you need serotonin, melatonin, DMT. These things happen from there. So 43 is a 7, and we all know that 7 is a very sacred number. And 43 holds to us now this message from the veil. What does she call it here? The veil of shadows. So the veil of shadows. Let's look to see what Quan Yin is bringing to us. A lotus blossoms with deep, rich mud into which she plunges her roots and draws great nourishment. From this mud made of water and earth, growth happens and great beauty is revealed. Your soul, lotus, thrives through the depth of emotion and aliveness of your body into which she can plant herself and unfold as a lotus of light. Your soul lotus is blossoming. Just like a plant that outgrows the pot in which it was planted, it requires more soil to spread its roots and continue growing. Your soul lotus needs some more mud, some more water, and earth energy, so it can grow and it can shine. In the spiritual worlds, all things serve everything, including our darker emotion and parts of our body that we may not think are acceptable. These are actually the things that we compost into wisdom. Namaste. Very beautiful. Thank you. All right, everybody, let me check in with you as we close today. I'm having so much fun on these master classes with you. Hi, Brittany. I love my honey calcite. It's just an amazing stone. And I always have it here. I had forgotten to really work with it. It's just here, always with me. And yesterday at the crystal store, I got these amazing new crystals. I'll share them tomorrow because they're over there in the sun. And there was a calcite I was drawn to. So I kept discussing it with him, and he kept telling me more things about it, how people are drawn to citrine, which I bought some yesterday. I love citrine. But the energies that this holds. Hi, Jillian. Me too. In the UK. So I listened this morning. It was wonderful. Oh, I'm so glad. Love and light from Idaho. Woo! Hi, beautiful, magical Brit. Getting on the lawnmower. Going to start listening to this from the beginning. Oh, good. I had so many messages come through to me. For me last night from the galactic beings. Wonderful. So much is shifting and changing. I'm feeling it. Excited to be with you, Nan. Oh, I'm so happy. That was so beautiful, Nan. Thank you for the messages. It made me cry. Oh, me too. I have to re-listen to this because I don't remember everything. I'm aware of the energies usually when it's happening, but sometimes I'm channeling to the degree where I let go and I'm not even aware of the words sometimes because I want to be in the flow where it's completely unformed. I'm not like receive the message and then translate it. It's doing more of this. So thank you, everybody. I hope you'll join me. Please come and join the Summer Intuition Camp. We're going to play with these realms. We're going to go deeper. We're going to have amazing transformations. Brittany knows. She's been in many of my classes, and everybody in the class that just ended, the Intuition Accelerator, which we will do after that, which is a chance to come together in a small group if you want to keep practicing and become very intimate, close, loving, sacred space where we support each other continuously, and we grow and we face our fears and we face our challenges and we open up and we share our magic, and it's wonderful. So please come and join. Go to the shop. You should see the school right there. We've just added a third payment plan. So you have full pay, 3 pay, 6 pay, and 10 pay. And if you need something else to be able to join, let me know. We want to make sure that everybody is optimal to be there. If this is the summer for you to join and take a quantum leap in your intuition, I highly, highly recommend that you seriously consider it. Start to draw in. If you're changing just from these little master classes that we're doing, imagine what's going to happen when you get to that. So this is kind of a precursor. So if you are going to join, way to go for being here, because this is the beginning of the class, really. These beings are coming together. They're showing me different ways that we're going to connect and different things that we're going to do. And doing it, playing with them, we co-create the class, we co-create. And when you join, you add yourself to the circle. So thank you for being a part of my circle. Thank you for being here. Please share. Please share. We need to spread this. Please subscribe. Please let me know what else I can do to help serve your growth. And let's go ahead and bathe ourselves and everything in gratitude. We call on the frequency of gratitude, appreciation, reverence, and love. We ask it to infuse through us. It's coming in as a giant flower of life with all these colors. And down and through us, we now radiate it out, blending with our own essence. That gratitude is shining now as our soul light, filled with appreciation and gratitude. Let it shine out into your body, into your space, into your aura and your mind, into your house and your room. I give great thanks for this beautiful gathering in the moment. In each of these magical awakenings, I accept all the healing, all the releasing, and all the massive transformation that is happening as aligned to my highest good. I walk my metamorphosis with love. I'm ready to be a co-creator. I give thanks to Quan Yin and to Thoth. I give thanks to Kuthumi and to all of the beings in Pan and the overlighting diva of healing. I give thanks to the sacred space. I give thanks to Nan. I give thanks to myself. I give thanks that this life is the pinnacle life and that I'm here at this moment and I'm waking up and I'm realizing who I am, and there couldn't be a more beautiful and blessed place to be. And so it is. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. May this circle be open yet unbroken, and the love of Pan and all of these beings go with us as is optimal for each of us through our day, that we may connect back to this wisdom as it integrates and opens the pathways on our journey. I am that I am. I am here on my soul's journey with joy, ready, willing. Let's go. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. This is my new ring I got yesterday at the crystal store. Got all kinds of beautiful goodies. Woo, 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 yay. And I love how the light is shining on Lakshmi here. Oh, thank you for all of this. All of these energies, remember, are beaming to you, and these are all my buds, man, on many dimensions. Thanks, everyone. You're welcome, Ruthella. I'll see you soon. I'm so excited to do a session with you. Hi, Tarana. I'm in love with you. Oh, I'm in love with you too. So wonderful. Oh, look at all the little hearts coming up. Thank you. Oh, hi, Olga. You're so welcome. Thoth talks to you too. I know. I talked about you today, Britt. You're my magical, deep mystery school girl. You keep resonating with these deep mysteries. And they may come to you. Don't worry if they don't right now. You want to resonate with whatever is resonating with you right now. I used to think I had to learn everything and I had to learn it at once. Then you just be on your path, see which resonates with you, what comes to you, take what's optimal at the time, move on. Integrate it. Don't be impatient like you need something else. Sit with information, sit with a guide, sit with any of these things as long as you need to. Some of these things are so deep and so powerful and so important that you could just sit with them for a long time. I mean, like work with it for days or weeks. I mean, in the past, I used to have people who'd have the experience or the class or whatever, or the retreat, and they'd go home and they'd work with that for a year or more. We're moving very fast now, though. Namaste, everybody. I love you too. I'm ready to be a co-creator. Yay! Yay! You're so welcome, everyone. I love it. All right, my dears, have a beautiful, beautiful day. Let's see, who wants to come? How about Thothers? My Thother came from Egypt with me and has traveled with me for 6.5 years without a home. He lost his hand, but I have it. It travels with me, actually. Thoth's arm. Thoth gave me his arm during an ayahuasca journey. He came to me and he picked the pyramid up and showed me what was underneath it. I was deep into the mysteries at that point, and so I understood things in a way I could ask questions. He took me to visit my parents, and I crawled in bed with them, in literally like in a physical reality. I say hello to him every morning, touch him, and kiss him. And it's not that I'm honoring the statue, but the representation of the energy, because this came from Egypt in the sacred time when I was there with my mystery school, that when I told you, it holds those energies and also the energies of my school, Light Body School. He's been the primary co-creator with me. So we're just going to say thank you, my beautiful friend. Namaste, everybody.